So we're going to get started in just a couple seconds as folks join in, but welcome to Content Marketing Hacks Part 1. So this is part 1 of a 2-part webinar series on content marketing hacks and some tips and tricks. So as folks join in, we'll be getting started in just a couple minutes to go over today's agenda. We have about 30 minutes to go over some of our issue insights on content marketing hacks, looking at kind of the 101 of content marketing, and then 10 minutes of a really quick demo today. We also will have an open Q&A at the end. So just some housekeeping notes as we get started. Let me just switch my phone to silent. So as we get started, all participants will be muted today throughout the duration of the presentation to ensure best audio quality for everyone. If you have any questions anytime during the webinar, please submit them using the Q&A button. So you can see that here shown below. So we will be answering questions in the Q&A throughout today's webinar, as well as at the end during an open Q&A portion. And we also collect all the questions to review afterwards if we don't have a chance to answer every single question. And of course, we are recording today's webinar as well, and we will share the link in our follow-up. This way you can listen to it again or share it with others who might be interested. We'll also be sharing the presentation as part of the assets that we share out. So as we get the ball rolling on today's topic, my name is Meghan Cole. I am a product marketing manager here at Issuu. I've been here for around 3 years now, and I've worked really closely with both the product and marketing teams and really getting a deep understanding of Issuu and the opportunities that marketers or content creators can really use Issuu to optimize their business and their own goals. So I'm always excited to be sharing webinar topics and insights. And as I do that, I also really love to get an understanding of who is joining me today. So I'm going to launch a poll right now just to understand what level of marketer you might consider yourself, whether it is a beginner, intermediate, advanced, expert, or not a marketer. If you're not a marketer or if you're a beginner marketer, no worries. These are really meant to be accessible and learning opportunities and ways that you can also really think about how you can use marketing trends and tips to apply it to other work philosophies and so on and so forth. So always love to get an understanding of who's joining today. This way I can spend more or less time on any topics and be mindful of any questions that might come my way later down the line. So we'll give that a couple more seconds to answer. And then I have one second poll question for you, just to get an understanding of the main reason everyone has joined today, to help kind of tailor which topics I'll be covering more deeply or less in today's conversation. So, whoops. Reason for attending poll, would just love to know if you're here to learn tips and tricks for using Issuu, to learn how to repurpose content, learn about why you should repurpose content, other or all of the above or none of the above. So feel free to submit your answers, choose all that apply, and this will just really help me focus on which content I should focus on and highlight in today's topics, and what you might want a little less time spent on. And as you are answering this poll question, just to go a little bit into about Issuu, who we are and what our goals are here. Our mission is to help people transform their static designs into high performance content for every digital marketing channel. So what this really means is a pretty 3-step easy process of being able to publish your content to Issuu and create a high performance flipbook version of that content, which is really great for desktop reading experiences especially, as well as improving how you can distribute that content and share it out anywhere. So we have a bunch of different tools and features that let you repurpose and convert your content into different derivative assets after you've published it to Issuu, especially for your mobile and social audiences. And lastly, the ability to measure the impact of all of the content you've created using Issuu statistics. So today's topic works really nicely with a lot of the goals that we have here at our company in terms of how you can design your content into making really high performance stuff. So with that, I will jump into, let me just end the poll. Thank you all for submitting your poll answers. And now we can jump into today's topic of content marketing, tips and tricks, and some quick demos. But before we do that, I really wanted to take a step back and kind of talk about the idea of what content is in the world of content marketing and in the world of digital. There are so many different words and phrases that it can get confusing, but to put it simply, the way that I see it is content is any asset or deliverable you create or use to get your message across to your audience. So content can be a video, audio, podcast, images, blogs, emails, websites, webinars, anything that really is delivering your message is a piece of content that can be used on a channel, and defining what channels to distribute your content on is really part of your strategy processes. What's really important to note in understanding content and content marketing is that the root of all of your content should be based in messaging. So what your messaging goals are for your brand or your company or your magazine or whatever it is that you are trying to distribute, the root of the content that you're creating should be delivering a message to your audience. So the content itself can be really flexible, but the messaging should be consistent. What the ways that you can do that is really just considering your copy, like what are you writing and what materials do you have and how are you using them and distributing them to make sure that what you're saying is consistent for your audience to understand the goals that you're working on, as well as conveying kind of your brand essence and overall messaging. So when we talk about the concept of content and repurposing your content, it's really thinking about how you don't need to reinvent the wheel if you don't have to. So especially with smaller teams, there's always an unending pressure to deliver really high quality content to your audience across an ever-growing array of channels. When your resources are limited, the ability to stretch what you have or any materials that you have is really what you need to succeed. So this really dives into today's topic in particular on how repurposing content is a huge opportunity that you can take and the steps that you can use to repurpose your content. And what that means is really just taking any of those assets and reusing it somewhere else or remixing it, making it into something different from what it originally was. It really helps when you are producing your content from the get-go to have repurposing in mind so you can easily convert it into different formats. But there's always ways that you can look at your content as a whole and see how you can convert it into different formats, even if you didn't produce it with repurposing in mind in the beginning. So when you're focusing your energy on producing an awesome asset like an in-depth blog post or video, it's you're likely to produce a better piece of work than it would be to divide your attention across every platform to say the same message. So let's think about this as a blog post, right? If you want to have one long form piece of content that you can then use from that blog post, you have a lot of copy, you have a lot of text that can then be used for your social media posts or for your promotions or for your email marketing. There are a lot of different ways you can take that one long form piece that you spent your time on and use elements of it to repurpose and save time in the long run. So when you are repurposing your content, these are the 3 goals that you can keep in mind for this content as well. Reaching new audiences, reinforcing your message, and improving your organic visibility. So what does each of these topics mean? When it comes to reaching new audiences, that one is pretty self-explanatory. There's a great opportunity to kind of tweak it to try to reach different segments that otherwise may not have found it. So for example, in today's webinar topic actually is a kind of repurposed content from our blog content as well. So we have our blog team who writes their blog content out, thinks about the opportunities and marketing tips and tricks, and often shares a lot of different blog posts of opportunities. And we, on our side, on the product marketing, and as we also do our webinars, thought that this would be a great topic to do a webinar on. So the webinar audience could be a very different audience from who typically reads our blog content. And it's a great way to really get this message out in multiple different formats. See a question really quickly. So we will be sharing out the replay of this video and this webinar, which is another great way to repurpose the content that we're creating. So not only do we host a webinar on a blog topic, but we also will have video assets from the recording of this webinar topic that we'll be able to share out afterwards. So the second point of this is also the concept of really reinforcing your message. So repetition is really important when it comes to marketing and getting messages across. According to kind of the marketing rule of 7, it says that buyers need to hear your message almost about 7 times before they close the deal. So you see this in the form of different types of advertising, messaging, emails, newsletters, so on and so forth. They may be overt or covert, but they are always different ways and formats that you can be just sharing your message and spreading your message to get the attention of your audience. So instead of just covering a topic once and letting it disappear into the archives, there's a great way to kind of repurpose your articles to really consistently deliver your message to the audience. So it works great if you're starting with high value authoritative content to make it easier to find unique ways to reinforce your message. But even with some of your shorter form content, it's just a great way to explore your messaging, see how can you communicate an idea in different ways and formats. And even if it's a short snippet versus a tweet versus an Instagram post, at the end of the day, you're telling the same message on different channels and using it in kind of new and unique ways that can both reinforce the message or bring on new audience members. And the last goal for repurposing your content, understanding the improved organic visibility of it. So organic search being the search that shows up that isn't sponsored when you are doing like a Google search or Bing search or anything like that, the unpaid versions of your posts provide a huge amount of your site traffic if you have a website for your business. So one study from Bright Edge found that organic search holds 51% share among traffic sources. So while you are creating any promoted versions of your content, it's always really important as well to consider how your content is also optimized for that organic visibility. So there's a great way to publish a variety of your content to give more access for different queries. For example, if you're publishing your content onto other sites, you'll also have the benefit of backlinking and associating your brand with different links and content. So to get a little bit more into understanding how to do this, and how to choose which content you want to repurpose, the things you want to consider is looking at the metrics that you have or any statistics or insights that you may have in understanding what content performed well and what could be done to deliver a fresh experience. So this could be looking at the old content you have, whether it's brochures, website copy, emails, and you can find content that would benefit it from either being updated or shared on different channels. Previous successes and relevant topics really help indicate if the content were repurposed, like if it would be valuable. So there are a couple different tips on how to repurpose your content. So you can, for instance, turn your blog posts into ebooks, webinars, or podcasts, which is kind of what I'm doing right now. If you have any blog posts with content you'd like to expand on, there's a great way to turn it into a conversation space within the webinar and podcast world to make it kind of digestible and fun to interact with. You can make this into a series of episodes or one episode, and it helps expand on any information or examples you've pulled. So in today's in today's webinar, which was a blog topic, I'll also have the chance to do a live demo and answer Q&As as well. I'll also be covering how you can upload your content to then repurpose and create ebook versions of your content or other resources. So if you have a series of blog posts on similar contents, a great way to use Issuu is to package it up and create different derivative versions of your content. The second way that you can repurpose your content or consider content that you might want to repurpose could be using testimonials or other assets you have for your social media content or your product pages. So if you get great reviews on your products, if you have like a virtual store and people give reviews there, or if you have just kind of conversations with your customers and they give you a really great testimonial, that's a great way to kind of beef up your different pages and include it into your social media strategies, as well as your kind of site page strategies. So adding testimonials in visible places can help draw customers who don't consider purchasing from a business without reading testimonials first. It also really lets them know that your business is already trusted by your audience members. So during today's demo, I'll show you how we are doing that here at Issuu a bit. And it also is a great way to improve your one-to-one customer relationships. So putting testimonials and spotlights really helps send that message to your customers that your voice is being heard and it matters, and that your brand or company values the inputs that is given to your audience as well. So how to set your content up for success with Issuu. In today's demo, I will be showing how to publish your content on Issuu, whether it is from your desktop or Google Drive or Dropbox, to build your content out and create long form versions that can be transformed into high performance flipbook assets for digital distribution. And then I'll also be showing how to take that content that you've published and repurpose it for other campaign assets that you can use across different channels. Particularly with our article and visual stories or GIF maker tools for shareable assets that can be posted on a bunch of different channels. And with that, I am going to jump into the demo. And if you have any questions along the way, feel free to submit questions in the Q&A, and I will try to cover them to the best of my abilities. So to get started, let's actually take a look at an example of a blog post that our team wrote. So for Earth Day this year, we did the math, crunched the numbers, and got an understanding of the perspective on how many trees were saved from uploading content to Issuu. So we found that over 3.8 million trees were saved in the past year alone, which is a really cool number to consider, especially related to Earth Day. And we thought this would be a great thing to share to our audience in a bunch of different formats. And how can we use what was first going to be just a quick blog post and create different assets from it? So the way we did that was not only did we create this blog post, but we also had some assets designed out of it, where we created a flipbook version of this content, using some simple design tools, and then uploaded that content to Issuu to create this embeddable flipbook version of the content. Not only did we create these assets, but we also used it to then send out an email to our Issuu users and our audience as well. So we took what was originally just a blog post and created some social posts as well as a flipbook version of the content and shared that out over Earth Day this year. And if we're looking into how you can do that or how you can create assets and build out what you already have, the first way we can do that is, of course, uploading any of your documents. So the way that we do that is going over here to the left-hand side and clicking upload. If you are a first-time user or a new user, this is the workspace that you will automatically be thrown into at the start. And all you have to do is upload any of your documents that you already have. So if you don't have a document ahead of time when you are uploading your content, we have some templates available as well. I don't have them opened up right now, but we will share those out. We will share those out as well after today's demo. So I'm going to use Google Drive to choose a document to upload. So here we have the Earth Day flipbook. And what we do is we upload your content to create that flipbook version. As it is registering and validating, I'll just add in a few quick details. So my title, day, content, description, type, and the ability to do a few different options as well. So I can schedule my content as part of my paid plan or allow downloads of my content as well. Just a few different options that we can do. Anything that is part of a paid plan is indicated by a green star. So I'll just set it up and then I have my flipbook version of that content that I've created. So once it is uploaded, I'm going to click publish, and there are a few different things that we can do with this asset now. So not only do we have it as this link that we can read on Issuu, but you can also share it in a few different ways that are part of the paid plans. So you can share it as a, oh, that is too bright of a red. I'm going to change it. So you can share it as a full screen reader version, which is kind of a fully dedicated web page to your flip content. Or you can embed it directly onto a website. So kind of using the same elements, you can embed it onto your website. So you have any of your assets added into your pages. So we took this, for example, got the embed code and added the images and flipbook version directly into our blog post. So that was just a way that we kind of enhanced the overall reading experience of the content, as well as creating some other asset types for our promotions. So one way you can create an asset out of this, as I mentioned earlier, is creating a GIF. So over here on the left-hand side, we have the GIF maker tool. So with this tool, we can create, choose some spreads to preview and create a preview version that can then be shared on any social media channels as a video file. So the way that we do this is you choose whichever pages you want to preview, and then you can download that source file and download the assets either as a video or as a GIF file. The GIF file is really great as well for email marketing. Or you can publish it to your MailChimp specifically. I won't be covering the MailChimp portion today, but we will be covering that more in depth in the near future at another webinar. But this is just another way that you can take your original file documents and use it in different ways or promote it in different formats as well. Sorry, I am starting to lose my voice, but as I grab water real quickly, I am going to also show a couple of other examples of publications that we've used for your content. Actually, let me so one moment, sorry. Let me switch to a different test account. So in this example, using one of our older publications, this is Motions Magazine, one of our older versions of repurposed content, which allows us to upload your content and create magazines. So we created a template to create magazines from our blog post content. So we had our blog post, which we then converted and created a different file type using InDesign specifically, but you can also use any other design tools, whether it is Canva, PowerPoint, Microsoft Word, InDesign, anywhere you can design content, you can upload that to Issuu. So we designed these in InDesign and uploaded them to Issuu. And once it is uploaded to Issuu, we can create different derivative assets of that content. So in this example, let's just go with these guys. I'm just choosing a couple pages to create what's called an article story. And an article story is really cool because what we do is not only do you have your flipbook content, but we can also convert it into a mobile optimized version for reading in the scrolling options. So we automatically pull all of the elements from your PDF content or from any of your documents that you've uploaded to Issuu and create this kind of mobile scrolling version of your documents. So this is another great way to kind of repurpose your assets and share them out on different pages and create custom links for your elements. And not only can we take these elements and create a article story from it, but we can also create a visual story to just further that kind of repurposing example. So in the world of visual stories, these are pre-templated versions of your content created as a quick snippet for vertical video. So in these examples, what we've done is taken your article stories. You can also choose pages from your assets, and we automatically pull in any of the images from your content. So you can easily click and drag and make any edits that you want as well. For example, I can change out the images in my logo. I can change the text or pull from any of the text that I had in my original document. And I can, for example, copy and paste that in here and create a video version of that content. So these are just some of the ways that you can get started with not only creating content and uploading your content onto Issuu, but also repurposing it using article stories, visual stories, and our GIF maker tool. So I will be going a little bit more in depth during Q&A, but before we go into the Q&A, I have one more poll question for everyone. So if you're interested in joining free workshops on how Issuu can help transform your content into stories, emails, social posts to engage your customers, just submit yes in this poll. So you can find out more information on how to join our weekly live interactive workshops by the Issuu Academy. So typically in these webinars, I have just enough time to very quickly cover a bunch of different proof of concepts of how you can use Issuu, where the Issuu Academy is where you can really have more one-on-one time with our customer success team members to do interactive workshops every Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. These are weekly workshops that cover how to prepare your PDFs for upload, optimizing your content, and using statistics, as well as any of our other partnerships and integrations as well. So that would be where I definitely recommend kind of finding out more in-depth info and getting a lot of the questions you may have on the technical end by joining the Issuu Academy. And now we will go over to the Q&A. So if you have any questions, please submit them in the Q&A. And Michelle, are there any questions? I'm just looking over now. Are there any in particular that?
Yeah. One question is, do we need to design the book before uploading to Issuu?
Yes. So you do need to design the book before uploading to Issuu. And I didn't really have, since we were covering a lot of topics today, I didn't really have a huge amount of time to go over this, but what I think is really great about Issuu is that we are really agnostic to where you are uploading your content from. So all you have to do, again, is from your publisher home space, go over to the left-hand side on the upload button and upload whatever file type you have in your desktop, Dropbox, or Google Drive. So these elements can be designed and exported as a PDF from anywhere. For example, we actually, if you go to issuu.com/issue, we have all of the Google slides that we exported as PDFs and then repurposed into flipbook versions just by exporting our slides over here and then downloading them as a PDF. So we can repurpose our own kind of PowerPoint presentations or slides as PDFs, which we then upload to Issuu to create flipbook versions of that content. But you can do this with Canva or any other design tools that you're using or InDesign, and also available on the Issuu official page. Includes some templates that you can use out of PowerPoint or other design tools. So we have some downloadable versions where you can download your templates as well. So
Yep.
I hope that answered.
Thank you very much. Question has come up a few times on the time of the Issuu Academy workshops.
Yeah, so you can find out if you are actually logged in, you can register for the Issuu Academy here. And the register information will take you to issuu.com/webinars, which has all of the upcoming webinars and weekly workshops, as well as the times that they are available. So we have both European and North American times for the workshops.
Thanks. And then question, can you download a GIF or GIF, however you want to say it, in multiple dimensions or just one?
Currently, you can just download it in one dimension. So it is the 1-to-1 square format, but we are always working on improvements. So stay tuned for future iterations.
Thanks. Another question, when it posts as a GIF, or social media or web page, does it retain the keywords to increase keyword search?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, when you post, like when you've repurposed your content into the GIF or into social media, does it retain the keywords indexing to increase keyword search?
I see. So that is dependent on the channels that you are distributing your content on. So currently, we do not, like the links to your content will always have the indexation and search optimization for paid accounts. But when you are sharing that content out, if you're sharing it on different channels, you may want to add additional tags dependent on whichever channels you're posting your content to. So On Issuu, it's always, we have always optimized our content for reading and engagement. But when you are promoting your content or repurposing your content to then promote onto different channels, you should always consider kind of how you want to optimize those tags as well. But those are really reliant on the distribution channels that you are distributing your content off of. But when it comes to resources and like information that you can find, a great way to do this is really kind of digging into your statistics and seeing where your engagement is. So don't really have time to go too deep into statistics today, but just really quickly, one way that you can do this is part of paid plans, again, is going into specific publications and seeing what the engagement is on particular pages and maybe optimizing your content based on where your readers are spending a lot of their time engaging with different pages and content.
Thanks. I think that some clarification on the features we showed today, are they available to all levels of accounts?
Right. So you can upload your content on a free account. You can upload a document, and you can also create a visual story, an article story. Let me go over to my published content. So you can create a flipbook version of your content, which is then shared on issuu.com. It will look kind of like this. So this is the paid version of what it would look like. So there are no ads on the sides of it, but for free accounts, there would be advertisements, kind of third-party banner ads around it. You can also create your article stories, your visual stories, which is that vertical visual video asset, and your GIF. All of those are free features. Embedding it onto a different website or having the full screen sharing version of that content, those two are part of paid plans.
Thanks. A question for you that I've seen a couple times is, how do you share the contents to Instagram?
Yep. So there are a few different ways you can share your content to Instagram. One way is to create your GIF. So you can create the GIF elements as a quick preview to then promote on your Instagram channel. You would download this source file as a video, and then you can schedule it on your social channels. You could also save a visual story and put it to your Instagram story. And then what you would want to do is share a link out to your content. So the GIF or visual stories are kind of the way that you can create assets and video or kind of visual assets to promote your content. And then for the content itself, whether it is your publication or your specific article, all you have to do is get the link and click share. So you can then like kind of copy and save whichever links you want to share out onto your Instagram. So you could do link in bio, or if you have links enabled for your followers, you can add links in stories. We could definitely do a deeper dive specifically into social media sharing as a future webinar topic. But those are the ways that I would use Issuu to create a post, as well as how to link it out. I saw one question on kind of how to find your content. So once your content has been uploaded, on the left-hand side of the navigation, you can find all of your published posts. Within those published publications, you can also find any visual stories you created by going here on the left, or any articles you created by seeing them on the stories inside. You can also see a full overview of all of your content by going from your home page. Always on the left side, basically, is your article stories. You can find all of the articles you've made across any document, or your visual stories, which same thing is all of the visual stories that you've made in any document that you've uploaded. So you'll always have these assets that you can use to share or edit or make tweaks to in the future to make other iterations as well.
Thank you. And then question, can you resize or move the photos you put in the background of your visual story?
So our visual stories tool, yeah, let me dig into it. We have some editing capabilities right now. You can move text around and you can kind of click and drag to edit assets or upload more images. But again, always kind of making changes and improvements to our products as well. So we have a couple different template styles. I usually use the Engage style, but we also have a couple other styles, including the Inspire style, which lets you kind of move some elements around a bit more, or play around with different assets.
Awesome. So let me look. One question, and this we might put our brains together on this one, but how can I repurpose my podcast episodes?
Yeah, great question. So and Michelle brainstorm with me on it.
Okay. Yep. So one of the things you could do with your podcast is if you have a transcription of it, take it, turn it into a blog. If it's long enough, you can also make it into an ebook. So, and thereby perhaps take the podcast, or what I've also done in the past is take a webinar and create a podcast from the webinar. So it's all about thinking about your channels and this long form piece of content and other ways that you can leverage it.
Yeah. Do you have suggestions like transcription wise?
There's so it depends on the different hacks you want to do, because if you have Apple products, you can work with those to kind of transcribe your content. But there's also online ones that go by the by the word, and just depending the length of the document. But it's pretty easy to find some online resources for transcriptions these days.
Yeah, I know like on our end with these webinars that we do. So Michelle is kind of the mastermind behind the scenes on all of the kind of distribution end. But one thing we do is, I believe at least, we have the transcripts from Zoom. So we can use those transcripts to kind of edit and do recaps and stuff like that as well. So that's just another way that we use our content and optimize it in different ways. Another way you could do that is like just taking some of your favorite snippets and then making those into sound bites for promotions. There's a lot of fun ways that you can play with it, or even add it into Issuu as like a sound bite that you can add into a publication as a video asset. But that might be for part 2 of this webinar, because I know we are quickly running out of time.
We are. I think we're a bit over. So thanks for all of the questions, and we will definitely try and get back to you offline if we didn't have a chance to get to them today.
And with that, thank you all again